voila, beach. Welcome back to the island in the sun, Sunny Isle. My name is Sunny Scunny and we're playing City Skylines 2. This is episode 3 of a new town that we're building on the Samui Island by Palm's time. And in the last few episodes, we've just been putting down the basic services, residential and industry. And we also put down some specialized industry for textile fibre, which we're actually making a whole ton of money on. If we go to our city economy and check out our taxation. Now, textile fibre is also called cotton in this menu. And you can see here we're taxing them at 21% and we're making around about $86,000. Now, this has been dropping down. And the main reason is we just don't have enough people in the workforce, and we currently have unemployment at 0.1%. So what we need to do today is to grow our population, increase density in our downtown area, and also add some new neighborhoods, and see if we can fulfill the thirst of the industry. I put down one of these new beach surfaces that's now been included in the vanilla game. We've got a couple of sand surface options. I went for surface number 1 because it has that nice bright look. And we've got this lovely little beach now on the town of Rueben. I've yet to put one on this side by the warehouse district and Kaplan, but we can have a look at doing that later. The blending isn't perfect, but from a distance I think it looks good enough. Now let's take a look at how we can increase our population. I think first of all we should really have a look at putting down a lot more row housing, especially in our downtown area. We've got mostly single family housing, which was great for the start of the city, but this is probably going to be our main city on the island. Hence why we went for the gridded layout, so that when we do start to add higher density, we can get maximum use out of the land. So I'm just going to go through the neighborhood here and see if we can pick out some of the larger lots and increase the density on those. Now I imagine the properties facing the ocean are quite valuable, so let's have a look at upgrading those first and see if we can satisfy some of our demand for medium density. I've yet to increase the size of the roads. I think we can do that for some of the major routes. However, I'm quite happy using the alleys for now. Although these row houses are probably going to be asking for parking, and we might need to come up with some creative solutions to add that. Perhaps we can create some parking lots behind the row housing or inside the blocks of row housing. Perhaps even look at adding some of the new smaller lots that we got in the detailers patch along the beachfront here. And I'm just gonna put a load of these row housing in, and you can see our demand is starting to come down, which is great. And I'm gonna do a little bit on this side as well. Even though demand has kind of dropped now, I suspect that it will go up eventually, and I want to be able to prepare for that. And we need to increase our population anyway. So I'm just going to go through here and I'll catch up with you in a second. Okay, so we got loads of issues happening right now. You can see that I went a little bit ham on the rezoning. I wanted most of this area to be quite dense, so we've got row housing zoning pretty much everywhere you see empty land. However, with that, we're facing severe shortages of electricity and water. So let's take a look at what the problem is. So in the last episode, I was placing down quite a few of these wind turbines. One of the comments on the video was to double check our service budget for electricity. So if we quickly take a look at that, we are actually running at 100%. And another comment also said we can also upgrade these, and I completely forgot about that. So we've got a couple of upgrades that we can do. We've got the solar assist, which only works in the daytime, so it only really is worth getting if you also get the battery extension or the separate storage battery sub-building that you can unlock through the milestones. Or we can add the advanced rotor system. So I think this is something that we can look to include in some of these turbines, since it gives us a 50% boost. These are all generating 5 megawatts at the moment, and if we add this, we can potentially get up to 7.5. So let's just improve our electrical generation situation here by, well, first of all, turning on some of these turbines that I had turned off, and also upgrading the ones that we already have. I'm just going to upgrade a couple for now and see if that is enough to cover our needs. Let's just unpause it. Oh, look at that. So our production has jumped up to 35 megawatts. We're producing way more than what we need for now. However, since we're increasing our population at the moment, I imagine the consumption is going to go up. So we'll just leave them for now, and we won't micromanage it too much. And it looks like that's resolved our water issue as well. I imagine our water pump down here was probably losing some power, and now it's at 59% efficiency as we have the service budget cut to save some money. And I really like the way this road into town looks at the moment. I'd planted a few of these smaller palm trees, so I look forward to seeing them grow. And it looks like one of the water workers has a little motorcycle and heading back to town. But yeah, look at this with the hills. Okay, as our city is filling in with new row homes, I'd also like to add a new village by our cemetery and bring back some of those low residential homes that we've now lost. And this area is probably quite low in land value. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, we don't have anything out here, so it's a pretty good spot to put some low density, I think. So let's lay down a few roads. I'm going to use the alleys again and make sure to have our contour lines on, because we are on the edge of the hillside here, and I don't want to build too far up it. I also don't want to build too close to the river, as I think we'd have quite a lot of fertile land in this area. Oh, interestingly, it's the other way around. So we have a lot of fertile land up on the hillside. Let's have a quick look at the specialized industry tab. Yeah, it is definitely all around the cemetery and on the hillside. So maybe we want to avoid putting too many homes on this side and concentrate on having them down near the valley. But we don't need to go too close to the river, because I don't want there to be an issue if we were to face any flooding. Not that the water mechanics cause flooding in this game. There is a slight effect during the winter. If you're on a colder map, when the snow melts, the river levels can sometimes increase. But the Samui map is a very warm one. Currently sitting at a modest 16 degrees C, so not too warm. So let's stick down some little alley roads for people to live on. I'm going to just draw a few straight segments first. Do we want to? Yeah, let's go perpendicular to this road. So let's just turn off some of our snapping. Don't really need to snap to the side of buildings, since we don't have any buildings to snap to here. And let's just come out, and you can see the radius. I'm going to go as far as there, and then what we can use is the roundabout and create a little zonable cul-de-sac. Now we've only got the small roundabouts unlocked at the moment, so it produces a smaller zonable area, but I think we can increase that if we were to use the 2-lane road. Let's just test that out. Yeah, there you go. So you get a lot more space for zoning right on the end of the roundabout and on the either side. So I'm just going to keep the streets here. It also provides good space for people to park if they need to. And that gives us a nice, lovely little rural neighborhood for us to zone some low density housing. So I'm going to continue using the waterfront housing, the European theme. And I'm not going to zone this as dense as I did with the first town on the map. I will do that along the highway here, which actually, let's upgrade that to a street, and then maybe we can get some shops along there. Yeah, let's pick out a few spots where we want to have some stores. I think just a few along here will be quite nice. We have to remember we did leave this space on the bottom side of our screen to place a few more farms when we need to create more jobs, so let's not zone too much on that side. But I imagine this is a good spot to have a small grocery store or a petrol station. Looks like we've got a space here that hasn't given us any zoning. We might be able to place a park or a service building there, so I don't mind that. It kind of gives us an idea of what we can put down, and let's put a nice big one there as well. So I'm going to grab our beachfront again, and let's just fill in this side. And over here, and we'll do the rest as well. And it looks like we've got the water issue popping up again, so let's have a look. So our water availability is on the cusp of being too little, so what we can do is increase our service budget for water and sewage. Let's bump that up to 78, why not? And let's have a look at our water sewage situation and see if it improves at all. Yeah, there we go, we're back up into the dark green. Lovely stuff. So we got this little village out here along the river, and then once we need to add some more workplaces, we also have these spaces on this hillside to add some more farms. So looks like we've got traffic building up on this roundabout here. However, everything's moving, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's probably all the people moving into the city, and this will clear up once all the new homes have been built. So let's have a look to see how it's filling out. Oh geez, we've got some Detroit vibes going on here. It's so empty. I wonder if our unemployment has shot up. 5.3, it's not bad, it's quite modest. So as the companies level up, they will hire more staff. So let's just take one of these for example. So they currently have 19 positions available with only 15 employees. And it looks like we're lacking in highly educated workers. which should come through the population moving into the town. So we've just hired another one, so we've got 4 out of 7 now. And the only other way to improve our education level will be to add more schools, but we're quite early in this build and I don't think it would be financially sensible to add all the schools this early. And talking about service buildings, we did get an update that included a whole bunch of new service buildings. So we've got this small clinic, which I think we can put down instead of the large clinic, and also a smaller fire station and police station. And the update dropped just at the end as I was recording the last episode, and I didn't get a chance to place any of these down, so I'm just going to go through and add the new buildings and try to keep our expenses as low as possible. The first one being this medical centre, which I think is getting full use when we do have the little pandemic death waves, or I don't know what you call it, illness waves. So you can see we've just shot out around about 4 or 5 ambulances. But this is costing us around about 65,000 a month. And we do have the budget cut by 10%, so we do lose a little bit of efficiency. However, they're still dispatching all their ambulances. If we take a look at the small medical clinic, so this one will cost us up to 23,500 a month, and you get 3 ambulances. So if we were to times that by 2, say we have 1 on both sides of the river, we'll get 6 ambulances for around about 47,000 a month, which is significantly cheaper than having 1 medical clinic where we only get 5 ambulances. So let's have a look at where we can place down a medical clinic on this side of the map. We've got lots of space now since we've removed all these single family homes, but I want to put it somewhere where it won't get caught up in too much traffic and there's options for it to dispatch vehicles if there is some sort of congestion. And I'm looking maybe around this junction here where we've got this farm in the back. I think that might be a good spot. There we go. So if there is an issue at this intersection, the vehicles can always go the opposite way if needed. And let's shoot back over to our original medical clinic and remove that. And I'm not going to place the smaller one in the same spot because I think that might be a little bit too close to the existing one on the other side of the river. But since we've got quite a lot of density on this crossroad here, maybe we should have a look at adding it further into the city. I can see we've got quite a large property here, so we won't be removing that many homes. But maybe we can put it somewhere where we don't have anything built yet. I think here's a good spot. There we go, just off the main high street. And again, there's a way out for vehicles if there's any issues on that road. 6 employees, 21,300. Again, we've got the service budget just cut a little bit just to save a little bit of money. We can adjust that in the future when needed. And when it comes to our school, our elementary school is almost at capacity with 1,000 students. And the new school is significantly smaller, if I recall correctly. So the small elementary school only has a capacity of 400 with extensions of 300 students. So we could potentially add that because you can add as many extensions as you want in the allowable area. But I'd rather not tread over old ground. I'll leave this as it is, and we can even add the extension wing for now because I know we're going to get a lot more people moving in. And when it comes to our police and fire, I quite like the existing fire station. This looks quite rural to me. I think this fits the location quite nicely. And the new one that came with the game is perfect for a more downtown setting. And similarly to the police station, I quite like this police station, but This one is costing us around about 41,000 per month. Again, this is because we've got our service budget down and we're losing a 36% efficiency. 41,500 for the standard one. And the small police station with only a $3,000 difference between the two doesn't seem really worth replacing it for now. So I'll keep this one as well. And I quite like that they have this similar brick color. It was almost like they were built at the same time with the same architecture style. And it suits the area, I think. We've got the space, we've got the money. We're doing really well with our taxes. Our population is increasing. Our taxes are increasing. I think we're sitting quite pretty at the moment. Looking at our household wealth, you can see that we're doing really well. The trend is upwards. We might even be able to get away with taxing our population slightly higher. So let's have a look at our population, our residential taxation. So we're currently taxing the lower educated less and the higher educated more. But I think we could possibly get away with, well, let's just do a 1% increase across the board and see how that affects our population wealth in the future. But for now, it seems to be growing steadily. Similarly, our commercial wealth is also increasing. I don't see any particular sectors that are really struggling. So I think our taxation for commercial is in a good space. And our industry wealth has plateaued out. This is where I really did go heavy-handed on the taxation and min-maxed it as much as possible to get as much out of them. And they are still growing. It is an increase ever so slightly. And if we wanted to create more jobs, we can also drop the taxes for industry so they've got more money in their pocket. And we don't have that many offices in the city. It looks like they're actually losing money. So we might need to adjust their taxes also. Let's just have a quick look because there's only 4 of them. We can get an idea who's losing money. So media is losing money. Telecom is doing okay. Software is losing a little bit of money. And financial is losing a lot of money. So media and financial need a significant tax cut. And then the other two just need a slight tax cut. So financial and media. So financial's at 7. Let's drop that down to 4. And media is already quite low at 4. So let's drop that down to 2. And then software and telecom, let's just drop that down by 1% to 6. I've noticed that the office taxation, or offices are much more sensitive to taxation than any of the others. We've got demand though. Plenty of demand for offices. The only thing that might be holding us back is the high skilled labour availability, which they're saying we've got plenty of, but I know we don't really have the school system in place to deliver highly skilled employees in the long run. It's mostly people that are moving in. Okay, next up I'd like to discuss our next project, and that is to give this city a purpose. A lot of cities are usually established around a specific industry or a transport connection. So you get a lot of railway cities in the US, and in many parts of the world, a lot of cities are formed around rivers. And we do have a small river that runs through this city, but it's not significant enough that I imagine that a city would grow around it for that purpose. However, we do have this beautiful bay that faces into the open ocean. And we've also got the mainland in the distance over here. And it makes sense for a city to establish in what would be a natural, safe area, especially against the weather and the natural elements. And I imagine if we were to play this from a earlier time setting, imagine maybe the 1800s or the early 1900s, we would be able to establish some sort of small port here, which could grow slowly. However, we don't really have that option in City Skylines 2. The only water options that we've got for transportation, if I find the right menu, is quite large. We've got the cargo harbour and the regular passenger ship harbour. So, although it might seem unrealistic to place these in such a small town so early on in the game, especially since we've only got 7,000 people living here and our budget is quite slim at the moment, I think if we were to imagine that this city wouldn't have existed without a port, we can justify having this here now. So I'm going to go to our development tree and go down to transportation, and I'm going to unlock water. Now you might think it's a bit of a gamble to do that at this point because the water assets are very expensive. This one costs 420,000 and this one 490,000, both respectively very expensive. And if you compare that to the train, with the train you're going to need a rail yard, that one's only 150, and if you go for the smaller station that's only 75, so it's a fraction of the price when it comes to shipping. However, this just isn't the place for a rail network, not a significant one at least. Like we do have, well, what I put in during the map development when I was editing Palms Time's original map, I put this little abandoned line through here. It doesn't really connect up to anything. It just goes to this side of the island, and we don't have anything connecting to the mainland or to our neighbouring city anyway, and we'd have to buy a tile and put that in. But for the sake of increasing our external connections, I really think it is important to put in some sort of connection to the outside world that isn't reliant just on roads. And you can see here we're already at capacity when it comes to our rural highway that goes out of the city. And much of this is probably caused by the garbage trucks trying to exit. But it's moving, it's not doing too bad. The only thing I do worry about is if there's a road accident out here, we're potentially going to get really bad backups. But we don't have anything that relies on deliveries. We don't have a coal power plant. We're currently self-sufficient using the wind power at the moment. However, if we do put a port in, it does mean that we have the option to build a different type of power plant that relies on imports such as coal or gas. Let's grab our terraforming tool and let's start having a look at where we can put this. So I want to bring this, I don't want to disrupt this river channel. We could bring out the land along here. I'm going to use the level terrain tool. Let's grab the height of the ground here and let's just bring that out and extend the riverbank all the way out into the bay. And I think it might be quite cool if we can have this turn at an angle and create some sort of protection for the boats that we have in this area. Yeah, I think that's nice. And I want to create a retaining wall. And at the moment, we won't be able to do that because it will say that the road is in water. Yeah, we can't do that at the moment. So what we need to do is we need to just adjust the terraforming a little bit and just cheese this in somehow. So let's grab the level terrain again and let's just drop the brush size to about 30 or 40. I think 30 is good enough. And we want to grab a height that's slightly lower than the one that we're working with at the moment. I think that's quite good. And then we just bring this along and let's follow the edge of this peninsula as close as possible, keeping it nice and straight. And next up I'm going to grab our medium roads. Just grab the 4-lane road and let's reduce our elevation step down to the lowest. Let's just raise it up until we get, I think, 3.75 or is it 2.5? 3.75 I think is what we need. And that should give us the retaining wall if we turn on the contour lines, and we do this over the small bank that we've created using the two different elevations. And you can see here it creates a retaining wall without an issue. So let's go out as far as we can, and I want to keep this straight, and we got a 0.1% elevation. That's perfect. There we go. And then we want to bring this out here as well. And do we want to adjust this? I think I want this to be closer to the river. So let's just use the upgrade tool, and let's just upgrade this to a street. You can see you can upgrade it to the left side or the right side. So we're just going to go down to the left side, and then we're going to grab our medium road again. I'm going to go with the one with the medium, and I'll upgrade it, and I'm going to be pushing it out to the left again. And that has brought the elevated road slightly closer to the coast. However, you can see that the retaining wall has swapped sides. That's just a little bug in the game, and to flip it over you just need to upgrade it in the opposite direction. There we go. I'm just going to clean up the edge of this road here by bringing the seabed up to the edge of the road. I can see this area being an incredibly valuable asset to the island, bringing in lots of cargo and boosting the economy overall. Now we just need to join up the new harbour arm that we've built into the main stretch of the city. It makes sense to join up with what was our original city entrance. It just seems like a natural connection to me. Like this road here was probably established to carry goods and people from the internal part of the island all the way down to what would have been quite a small scale harbour at the time when this was first established. So let's bring a road over and connect these 2 points up. Oh, and just before we put that in, we've hit Boomtown. So we get $150,000 and a policy for heavy traffic ban and advanced pollution management, and a few tiles as well, which we've yet to explore. However, we've not used all our starting area yet, so I think we can hold off using that for now. Looks like we can get a straight shot here. However, I think that probably is dropping down and then coming back up. Yeah, I'm going to terraform the river just a little bit so we can continue that quay wall through this area. Grab our road, and then let's just bring this across. Let's go as straight as possible. And it doesn't like that because, of course, we're building on water. So we need to just raise the land up just a little bit. And I just had to remove that little road that connected up to the industry. And it's letting us click that in by the looks of it. Nice one. And then I just want to bring this road back so that these industry buildings don't lose their road connection. And then I quite liked the way that curved around, so I'm going to see if we can bring that road shape back using some of our snapping tools. I think snapped guidelines is actually useful in this instance, along with the 90-degree angle, and it lets us just place that in there. And we just need to rezone the industry before they demolish themselves. And that's office. Let's put the industry there instead. There we go. And let's unpause the game, and you can see it creates this odd little road here, which looks absolutely crazy, so I'm going to redo that. There we go. It looks a lot better. It's a strange shape, but I think it's one of those things that will make the city a little bit more unique. Oh no, and we've just lost one of the factories. I must remember to rezone them. There we go. It should be happy now. And yeah, no, that looks quirky, but I quite like it. So let's see how much this is going to cost us. So it's 420,000, which we've got plenty of money in the bank and plenty coming in. And it looks like the upkeep is fairly low. And you have to remember, there's no upkeep 4 ferries in the game. You can have as many ferry lines as possible. All the ships get spawned off the edge of the map somewhere, so it's not something we have to worry about too much. I don't want to build this too close to the coast of the city because it will lower the ground so that it's deep enough for ships to come in, and I don't want to box ourselves in when it comes to customizing this part of the coast. So I'm going to keep this fairly high up on the harbour arm, and it looks like just before it turns there is a good spot, and you can see here the water is a little bit deeper, so we'll dig all this side of the harbour out and we'll keep this side more natural, and this can be the more beauty side of the city, the beautiful side of the city with the nice white sandy beach, and eventually we'll be able to get some nice hotels along here too. So let's grab the shipping lanes while we're here and get this up running because we are paying for it. And we've got a couple of outside connections. We've got one up here and one down here. So let's connect up to this channel. And do we want to use, so this is the medium seaway, or we can use the narrow one. Use the narrow one since we might want to bring the peninsula out here just to create a more sheltered harbour, and we've got a bit of ground there. Let's use the continuous curve tool and turn off some of these snapping. We don't really need all that snapping when we're out in the open ocean. So I want to just miss the end of the harbour arm there and then bring this around, and we probably want to fork off into 2 directions, one going this way, so we'll plug that one in and we'll bring the other one down here. And while we're here, let's grab our passenger line tool and connect this up. So we'll have one going out to here, to our new harbour, and back out to Holloway. And then we'll do the same over here. So this is Gustine, and we'll come all the way down past these 2 little peninsulas into the bay, connect that up to our harbour, and complete the route. So we don't have a name for the city yet. However, there was a great suggestion in the comments in the last video that the area itself could be called Sapphire Bay, and this can be the Sapphire Bay Harbour. Thank you, Jonah Fieldman, for the great suggestion. I think this is a beautiful name for a beautiful place. And we already have our first ship coming in. Have we got any passengers? 0. Let's just have a look at our shipping lines. Let's go to our transportation view and we'll adjust these colors. So we'll have, let's go for a red, and we'll go for a nice green, a nice Kelly green. And it looks like this one already has 41 passengers, which is exciting. Okay, so they'll be bringing people in, and we just need to have a look at where we want to put our cargo harbour now. We've got our large warehouse district here, which is where the bulk of our industry sits. We also do have our specialized industry too, which looks to all be kind of following this outer road, this bypass road here. So there's good connections into the industrial area for those farms. So it makes perfect sense to put in the cargo harbour somewhere around here. And we could potentially even just bring it right up to the edge of this beach. So I'm just gonna upgrade this road first. Let's use the one with the medium road. Use the street first just to bring this out by 1 tile. And then I just need to grab the medium road and do the same. Yeah, perfect. And we'll just finish this road down here as well, shall we? And we want to make sure we don't have any lights connecting to these alley roads either. We just want to use the lights where we're struggling with congestion and people crossing the road. So let's turn them off on all these. All right, let's pick up the cargo harbour. So this one is 490,000, so 500,000 pretty much. And let's see how big this is. This is a lot bigger than I remember. So it looks like there's a conflict you see up in this top left section with our passenger harbour. So we might not be able to put this in where we want it to. Not unless we bring the land further in, and that just doesn't seem realistic to me. It's the sea lanes. The sea lanes are a lot wider on the assets. Like, these are much smaller. They're small seaways. I wish the cargo harbour had that included. Here it seems to be okay. Okay, I can handle that. I can handle that. There we go. This is such a big asset. I would love there to be a smaller one. Oh, we've got the rail line option. If we want to have rail here in the future, this would be going straight into town, which I don't hate actually, because I'm thinking we could, once we do unlock rail, we could put one of the small rail stations just along here. It won't let me pick it, but that would be a great transfer point, especially with the ferry here. You could have rail going through the island and then terminating here, jump onto the ferry and then heading out to the mainland. I think that'd be pretty cool. So all we need to do is we just need to grab our cargo line tool and let's connect this up. So let's use this left side to go out to it was Gustine. Okay, so pathfinding failed. I think that is an issue with the placement. Yeah, okay, so we're going to have to move the cargo harbour. It's not happy where it is. So let's have a look at this and let's unpause the game. So we've got some people moving around. And let's just bring this back. This is not very nice to the people living here, but it's what we need to do. And let's grab the road and let's plug this in ourselves. Let's create a guide for it to snap onto. Let's use the 90 degrees. And let's bring this in. And let's see what that looks like. I actually think that fits quite nice in there now. Gives the harbour a lot more space. We can bring this concrete peninsula further out using maybe a few retaining walls. Or we can even retain this beach, you know. I'm not opposed to having some sort of beach in an industrial area, but looks like there's an issue with the passenger ships now. Pathfinding failed. And I wonder whether it's because we're routing a lot of the traffic through here. Let's grab the medium seaway. Maybe what we can do is we can just extend this out like this. There we go. Yeah, it didn't like that corner. I understand. And let's connect that up there. And yeah, this is all maneuverable water now for the ship. So let's grab our street. And do we want to... Let's upgrade this one here. And we've got this road coming out to our external rural highway, and at the moment it's not an easy way from this road to the front of the harbour, so we can bring that over by using a curved road. And we've got all these little houses and things that are just popping up here, so we can probably just remove them for now because they probably would have been compulsory purchase during the land grab for the industrial estate. And let's plug these alley roads back in so that we've got plenty of connectivity. And I know this isn't the best layout for the cargo entrance, but our city is quite small at the moment and we can look at improving that further down the line. We've got it in for now. So now that we've got our harbour in, I'm just going to spend some time to detail this area up a little bit and add maybe a few parking spaces along this harbour arm here so that we're preserving some space for a future rail station, and then we'll just tidy up some of these edges too. So we've managed to put in quite a few details in this area, and it looks like we've got some crime down at the harbour. Perhaps people trying to smuggle in some illegal items. We'll send down the border patrol for that. But generally speaking, I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I didn't go too hard on the details because, again, like a lot of this is quite temporary. We're going to continually evolve and rezone and reshape the roads as our city grows, but overall I'm pretty happy with the outcome. The main reason I wanted to put down the cargo harbour, not just to give the city a purpose or a reason for existing, but it also acts as a super warehouse. So yes, you do get warehouse assets in the industrial area. The way the cargo harbour works, and what's great about having this so close to what will eventually be quite a large downtown, is it can hold 15,000 tons of storage. So whether it's, we've got paper, beverages, mail, keep everything available and close to where it's needed. And don't get me wrong, we will have more cargo harbours and maybe even some cargo rail hubs around the island, but this is strategically going to be very important for the growth of our city. And having this so close to our industrial area means that deliveries are going to be so much cheaper, and the companies will have more money in their pockets to level up the buildings, hire more staff, and produce goods which will go to commercial, who then themselves can save money on the production costs of buying those goods and pass on the savings to the residents, who can spend their money on paying more taxes or leveling up their own buildings. So overall, it's a great asset to have close to downtown, albeit very expensive for now, but I think it will pay off. And if we take a look at our budget, we're still in the green at $200,000 per hour. Let's have a look at, so we had about $80,000 per month coming from our textile fibre, and you can see it's already doubled, almost doubled to 144,000. And it's probably the same across all our different industrial types. We are seeing a massive increase in production, not only because we've got cheap import-export costs, but also because we've grown our population. I also placed down this stone mining. I'd like to think they're not actually mining any stone here, but I thought this looked like some sort of hopper. So if there was a ship or something similar, maybe a barge, this could be used to load up the barge with natural materials, and this could be some sort of storage area for those natural materials. And we could actually grab the terrain tool and raise this up just a little bit, gently come through here. It won't really look like much with the texture, but from the side I think that looks pretty cool. Let's have a quick look at our little village that we put out here. So anyone that still wanted to stay in low residential, they could have come out here. We don't have any public services except for the cemetery out here. So if they need a doctor or a school, they're going to have to travel into town. And what I like about having this out here, and along with many others in the region eventually, is we can continue to use the low residential buildings. As long as we don't give them too many services, they should be able to afford their rent. I quite like that we've got a little gas station here, so that those that are traveling into town via the rural road can stop by and pick up some petrol on the way in. And also, you know, people out here are going to mostly be reliant on their cars, so it's good to have these petrol stations out here for people to fill up and make their way around the city. They've got quite a few down here. They've got another one here as well. So there's clearly a need for petrol stations in the city. Absolutely beautiful. I really love how this city is shaping out. And I really appreciate everyone's comments and likes on the previous videos. I really appreciate all the support. And thank you for checking out this video. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. And we'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Goodbye.